All right, good evening, everybody. At 6 o'clock, so let's begin this business meeting of Urbana School District 116. Roll call, please.
Member Cheryl,
Here.
Member Hickson,
Here.
Member Marabou,
Here.
Member Jones,
Here.
Member Langendorf here, Vice President Baxley,
Here.
President Pulowski.
Here, are there any additions, corrections, or modifications to tonight's agenda? No, so we're going to do this as published. There are like 0 citizens in our lobby here, but there's a call for citizen statements going once, going twice. No citizen statements this evening. There will be a call for an executive session after tonight's meeting for the purpose of personnel, specifically for evaluation of the superintendent. We will also be discussing contract negotiations as allowed under the Open Meetings Act. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda as published?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have an agenda. It is now time for our student ambassadors report.
Well, good evening, everyone. This is our ambassador report for February 17th. So, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, we sent out a parking lot survey because we really would like to expand the parking lot. Not just for students, but also for staff. Our goal is to hopefully get the zoning approved for the lot that we have across the street, for us to make a duplicate lot of the teachers' current lot, just after the stop sign, or kind of how you come in, but to just duplicate that to the left, like you're facing, if you're facing out of the school, duplicate the lot to the left in the open grass area. And we would like to do that and have it accessible for both teachers and students, and so that we can hopefully ultimately get rid of parking passes. So from the parking lot survey, we asked students kind of where do they have to park in the mornings whenever student parking spaces are full. So some said Broadway Avenue, some said in the teacher lot or the aquatic center lot behind or to the left of the middle school. Students are parking the teacher lot. Walnut Street or on Michigan Ave. With this, it adds additional time. It adds additional walk time from these spaces that could really hurt a student in a way to where they could be late to class. So we would like to minimize that as much as we can, and we hope to do that with this lot. On the next slide, we asked students what time do they get to UHS every day. So we have a different range. So typically students kind of arrive between the 7:45 and 7:50 mark, and class starts at 8. But there are some students who arrive late. But it was good to make sure that we get that data from them as well. On the next slide, it is a different copy. This is from the teacher's point. So we had to make 2 different forms, one for students and one for teachers. This is the teacher responses. So teachers typically get here around 7:20, 7:30. Some come later, but it is, we do also want their input as well. On the next slide, we asked students, have they ever been late to first hour because they haven't been able to find a space? we see that 55% said yes and 44% said no. So this is a really big deal because we, of course, we don't want students to be late the first hour. We don't want them to be late to any class. But by us not being able to find spots in the lot or find spots around, it's really made it difficult for students to get to class on time. And it's a really big thing because then students have or teachers have to stop what they're doing to make sure that students are able to come in and to make sure that all of their students are accounted for. So we have to. It's been such a big deal because they are being late to class, and so we would really want to minimize this as much as we can. On the next slide, this is a student question, and I asked, do you observe teachers or teaching assistants parking in the student lot? 40% said yes, 59% said no. This is also a really big thing because whenever the teacher lot gets full, teachers or other teaching assistants, they will park in the student lot. So this also takes away student parking. And it's forcing students to have to find spots that's not the spot they paid for. So with their parking pass, they should be able to park in these lots. But the fact that there are other teachers or TAs parking in those spaces, it's really taking up the space that they have and forcing them to park somewhere else. Yeah, go ahead.
Especially for students that are coming from like Parkland classes at the beginning and then coming and like seeing a full lot and then like, oh, I need to find another parking spot, but their timing was like, oh, I'm going to be here at this time and get into this class. It's really difficult because they have to go find a new spot, and then they're late on top of just coming from Parkland.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and with Parkland, you have to be back within so much time. So if you get to the school and you realize that there are no spots, you now have to add in the extra time, which could be excused or which couldn't be excused because you are using extra time. So we also have to factor in that as well. Question to the teachers. Do you observe students parking in the teacher lot? 92% said yes, 7% said no. This is also kind of the counter to the students, or teachers do view students parking in the teacher lot. Whenever the student lot gets filled, that's where they're parking. So it's also taking away spaces from our teachers, which is a big thing. And we really, really do want to minimize that. We asked, I think that's the last one. If you go back to John, one more. Okay. So we asked students, do you feel a bigger parking lot is needed? 90% said yes, 9% said no. With all of these factors being taken into account, it's been really hard to find parking spaces. And it takes away so much, and it forces us to use other streets. And it also, for the people who do pay for parking passes, they are not able to use their parking pass for the space that they paid for because we have non-parking pass holders parking in those spots. Now, talking about towing, even with towing, the deans are really busy during the day, so it definitely is very hard on them to be able to get out there. But they try to, Mr. Sexton tries to get out there as much as he can. But it is really hard because he has so much to do during the day. So it's still giving non-parking pass holders opportunities to park in those spaces in which they have not paid for, which frustrates parking pass holders. On the next slide, we asked teachers the same thing. 76% said yes, 23% said no. We asked, do you frequently observe non-parking pass holders parking in either lot? This was a student question. 85% said yes, 14% said no. So this goes back on to non-parking pass holders taking spots from the parking pass holders, which is a real frustration because it gives parking pass holders a mindset of, why did I pay for a pass if I'm not able to have the spot that I paid for? So it's really been a huge frustration, and we see it happen every single day. And we really would like to minimize this because it is such a big problem. And this is a teacher question. 76% said yes, and 23% said no. With this, we are ultimately, we would really like to urge the Board of Education to please move forward with the zoning of that lot, and allow us to, even if we got another gravel space, that it'll truly be helpful to each person in the building. It will be less stressful, and I believe that we would have lots of more happy faces because they don't have to fight for spots every single day. But even there, we see lots of the times we see improper parking. Some students will take up 2 spaces, or some teachers will take up 2 spaces. Of course, students being late to class. I think this year we have had a couple accidents out in the lots. This year, parking pass holders are taking up spaces. Parents are parking in spots that are not parking spaces, so it's blocking students specifically who are coming back from 6th-hour lunch, or are leaving for 6th-hour lunch because they can't get out because they are physically blocked. And that has also been such a really big struggle. But also we've had Promise Healthcare. Their staff have also been parking in student and teacher spaces. So it's also taking away from not only the teacher lot, but also the student lot, because they are using spaces that are not intended for them. If you have not been out to the parking lot, Promise has designated spots for them. But there are times where they would use other spaces, or parents who are coming in for an appointment will use our spaces, which really restricts it. And really just overall students parking in other lots. So we as ambassadors would definitely urge for the board to move forward with this zoning process, and would hopefully find the funds to for us to receive a new lot.
Okay, now things that are happening at UHS. On the 7th, EIU, there was a jazz festival at EIU. And then wrestling, there was a JV boys meet on the 7th. Girls regionals was on the 7th. And then boys sectionals on the 13th through the 14th. We had 3 girls qualify for state in wrestling, so that's really cool. And then girls and boys basketball, regionals coming up. Regionals for today for the girls is today, and then boys regionals is to be determined. Track had a meet last Saturday, and they also have a meet coming up this Saturday in Mount Zion. And then FCA has a campus huddle at UMS on Wednesdays, and then FCCLA has a service project, and they're having drawings coming up to classes on time to have people have better attendance. And then softball tryouts are on the 12th from 3:45 to 4:15. And then track, well, this is from the meet, urging people to come, but there's a QR code if you still want to donate to support the track team. Donations go towards food, uniforms, and equipment the team will need throughout the season. And then here are athletes and coaches of the month. Kaya Hill, she's in girls basketball right now, and she's a senior. And then Amalio Diego Juan, he's a wrestling coach. Do you have any?
Yes, he is a wrestling coach. I believe he's been here for 17 years. Don't quote me on that. 17 or 18 years now.
And then Gus Guno, he's on the boys swim team.
And then, so we got Athlete of the Week nominees. So, I believe it was a week or two ago, the Copper Creek Church nominated Ricky Ivy for Athlete of the Week. Ricky won the 140-pound title and led the Tigers to an overall third-place finish at sectionals. You can vote for Ricky on the Copper Creek News Gazette line, or website, and the link to that is inside of the slides. And on the next slide, we have another nominee, Peter Wald. He was also nominated for Athlete of the Week. He won the 1 meter dive with a score of 372.0, leading the Tigers to a 5th place finish at the Big 12 conference. And you can also vote for him via the Copper Creek Church link as well.
And then at the Cinema Art Gallery on Main Street, 18 different UHS students were able to participate from Art 3 and AP Art and have their art showcased at the gallery. And it's still up till next Saturday, so if you want to come look at it, you can. It's on Main Street, and it's across from Encanto and like next to Rick's Bakery. So it was a really cool opportunity for students to like show their art in like a larger scale.
And this is our report. Thank you.
Thank you both. Board reports. Anybody have a board report this evening? Go ahead.
There were also many visitors, mentors, staff and teachers and from other schools and the district that come to visit the school and are there for a certain amount of time. Have you ever looked at the login to see how many visitors there are that we have to accommodate as well? I think you have to, when you think about how many spaces we need, you have to consider the visitors as well that are only there for a few hours or a period.
Correct. So we have not looked at the student observer sign-in sheet, but that is also another factor too. Is they also
Right.
play a role in the parking
Right.
spaces, and so we also have to accommodate for them as well. And sometimes they could be there for maybe 2 or 3 periods, and sometimes they could be there. The whole day really.
Right.
So we also have to accommodate for them too. But
Right.
we also have to still make sure that we are accommodating for teachers and students. But right now it seems like we're kind of fighting each other on spaces. So we also are taking that into account as well.
It's nice to have all those spots in front for visitors or family, but they're usually they're full.
Yes.
So there has to
Yep.
be another alternative
Mhm.
for that as well.
Yep. Usually every spot is filled.
Yeah.
And so people will just start parking in spaces that are not meant to be parked, and that causes more issues.
I was wondering about, when we talked about this before, we talked about the freed up spaces at the middle school because we don't have as many teachers there. And I'm wondering, as a stopgap method, could we, count the cars there,
Yeah,
the
we're doing- we're
staff,
gonna-
and then section off. This is for students, this is for teachers, in both parking lots at the middle school.
So we can't do it in both parking lots because the back parking lot is pretty much full except for the blue aquatic center spaces.
Mhm.
But we do have a plan when the ground unfreezes. Right now, we can't really do anything. is we're gonna move the activity buses to the middle school to park by the gate, field gate, whatever, the throwing field gate. And we were going to put in some additional spaces in the front row and call it UHS Overflow. Right now, we have 7 or 8 student teachers that are parking in the lot and student observers. And so Mr. Guzman's plan is to have those folks move over to the that front middle school parking lot.
Mhm.
But we can't signage those until the ground is, warm enough where we can put down new signs. But that is the plan when the weather breaks a little bit more.
Even, we talking about moving the UHS student observers to the middle school lot, or are we talking about moving maybe some actual high school student or teacher spaces to the
Moving
middle school lot?
Moving the student teachers and the student observers to the
Okay.
middle school lot.
Okay.
At least that's what Mr. Guzman and I talked about, so yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
I'm
Yeah,
glad
we
you
just
agree.
we just still have to we just still have to make sure that we are also still accommodating for Promise Healthcare, because they are still using our spots, or obviously other students and teachers.
Promise Healthcare, do they only have like 2 to 3 spots
I think they
though?
have 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Promise only has 3 spots, and so that counts for every staff they have, but that's not accounting for the actual for the parents and students who actually have appointments there. So they are using our spaces still. So those 3 spaces only really account for the actual staff who work at Promise Healthcare.
Is there a way that parking enforcement somehow we can do better on parking enforcement in the lots for those that do pay to be able to utilize their spots?
So yes, so Mr. Guzman and Mr. Sexton. So Mr. Sexton is over parking, and he has been out there, I think, putting notes. Randy has even gone out a couple mornings and kind of counted cars to see how many people were coming in and out. So they are doing a better job of enforcing now that it's gotten a little bit warmer too.
I think the big thing is though that there's like so many more kids, like I know juniors, can't say for all like seniors, that want to buy a parking pass and they're not able to because there's not enough room. Like people don't want to walk 10 to 15 minutes like to get to school, even if it's like just Broadway, but like in the cold or whenever, like they didn't want to spend like 5 to 10 minutes, or even like walking from the aquatic center. It's a difference in just walking from there. And if there was a bigger lot, and even if it was just a little bigger, and people started to pay for a spot, there would be more people that would pay, even if it's not like free completely.
Even then, we don't have, again, Mr. Sexton, he won't be available all the time, and so it's not the point of I don't think it's the point of him like actually going out there, but I think we have to have kind of that consistency, and I don't think we're able to get it because of how busy he is during the day. So I think because the consistency isn't very consistent, it also gives non-parking pass holders, very good opportunities to actually be in those spaces, because they know that Mr. Sexton is busy, or the other deans are busy with certain situations. So I think even then, if we could maybe could even have someone who's really designated out there to be there in the mornings and for 6-hour lunch, it'll be better. But I just don't think Mr. Sexton's schedule, or just the deans in general, are able to make it out there every single day for the time.
Are parking passes, are they assigned by license plate? How do they go through
Still a sticker for your car.
stickers?
Different color sticker every year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when I got mine, you get it, like they'll give you like your license and stuff like that, just to have it on record, or like the car model you have and stuff like that. but then like they said, you have a just sticker you put on.
Mhm.
Well, appreciate all the work that you're putting towards it, and this is obviously a priority to the students. But again, there's a balance too. Maybe students have to leave 10 minutes early too, so that they're not late to class. So I think you have to advocate for that as well.
I mean, this district spent over 30 years acquiring that land. I mean, basically, as houses came up for sale, we've slowly, this was a strategic plan built by people way before we were elected to acquire that land, and I don't think it was really for the purpose of a parking lot. I mean, I mean, if we did want to use it temporarily for parking, that's one thing, but we have a campus land use study that we commissioned about 8 years ago. We spent 30 grand on that, but kind of highlighting the purposes that this community could use that land for, including more space for industrial arts, including there's a lot of different things, including some traffic flow changes just for the purpose of safety. But any change that we would make with regards to what to do with that piece of land, I would want a lot of community input on, and have it be aligned with our strategic planning process. We've had enrollment at the high school has been flat for 20 years. We've had this parking situation for that amount of time. That we've had about the same number of staff, the same number of students, the same number of drivers. I mean, I'm not opposed to making changes to improve things, but I don't want us to see us step away from a strategic decision this board has kind of met on for 30 years to find a use for that land that has educational purpose.
Was there ever a proposed plan? I believe it was like a 2019 proposal or something that like had like another building or like a parking lot or something in it. Like, are we able to kind of pull things from that plan and kind of
We could
because I know that we don't,
sure.
I don't think we had the funds then to.
Well, yeah,
to
the
maybe-
the plan that was conceived by the consultants was really expensive because it basically involved building roadways that would go all the way from Race Street all the way over to Vine Street with a roundabout in the middle and another one that went up to Washington. So building those roadways would be really expensive. We've never had the money to do that. So, that's kind of the ideal if we had infinite funds. But some of that stuff could be done in piecemeal. And yeah, some of that was restructuring the parking lots, but I don't really think it really expanded the number of spots very much.
It did a little bit, but not to the level of what
Yeah,
our students are talking about. I think whatever we do with that space instructionally, a traffic study would be involved in that process with the architects or whoever's doing the work or whatever's happening. Because right now, the goal is, again, like Paul said, we spent a lot of years and put a lot of thought into what we were going to do with that space to improve student learning at the high school, not to just add parking spaces. And so I think whatever we do, we need to do it under the guise of we're improving the student learning and what we're able to offer our students to make our high school more comparable and more attractive to families moving in. We want to keep our students when we compare what they can get in Unit 4 and in other districts. Adding parking is not going to do that for us. That doesn't mean that when we improve our instructional spaces, we wouldn't also be adding parking, but it would be done under the umbrella of a traffic study, a real plan with the architects and the people that would be involved in that. So, and like Paul said, if we had infinite funds where we could do all the things, then that would be great. But we don't have infinite funds to do all those things right now, so.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to some sort of temporary use of that spot for increased parking, but nothing permanent without like a community-wide.
For sure. Just like we added the gravel spaces would be something that would be easier to do, but
Yeah.
again, we
Is that
want
the,
to have a gravel parking lot right across.
is that the spot that has like the container on it and the car that just sits there?
That belongs to the shop. The students actually work on that through the
Okay.
auto
'Cause
class.
I'm like,
It does look like it's just sitting there, but it is part of the auto shop program, but.
Yeah, I mean,
But the container has, I forgot what's in the container, but.
I would love to have basically a big garage for the industrial arts department to be able to do things, but we haven't had the money for that either yet.
We had an agreement with the city too, if you remember, that
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
we couldn't put parking over there. It was gonna be green space or educational space. That
That's
was quite a
true.
while
I
ago.
forgot about
Yeah,
that.
you're right about
So we
that.
initially were going to put a gravel lot on Washington, and the city told us we could not.
Right.
Because when we tore down those homes, the 3 homes there, that was what we were initially going to do, is put a gravel, we had 3 properties right on Washington Street, right as you pull into the high school parking lot. And when we tore those down, our initial plan was to put gravel parking there, and the city said that was not, when they signed off on right-of-way and other things, that they would not approve that as a use of that right-of-way space to put a gravel parking lot there. That was several years ago, but
I mean, we could revisit that question with the city.
we could.
I really appreciate all the work you put in and the very mature way you advocated for your
Absolutely.
position. I thought it was great. And I think it will encourage us to do what we can around the edges and really look for more parking spots.
We're trying to be creative. So
Right.
moving the activity buses, putting some overflow flow parking where we can.
No, it's a real problem, and we need to do what we
Mm.
can, but
But I do think that if someone is old enough to drive, they probably are old enough to get themselves up 10 minutes earlier with that, if you have that responsibility to drive. And also, it isn't that far to walk I'm a person who rode her bike to King's School until I was 63 years old, from the high school to King's School. So I think that it's part of being an adult to say, these are the things I need to do in order to drive my car to school.
well, when you get to the U of I, if you ever go there, parking is horrible. And so you will be walking a lot. Even if you pay for a parking pass, you still have to walk quite a while to get to the building that you need to go to.
And I would even say is even if students did have that and they did leave and come to school 10 minutes early, if everyone's getting there 10 minutes early and then spots are taken, it still doesn't fix the issue. So I personally don't think that it would be a problem solved if everyone's getting there 10 minutes early, because then spots will still be gone like that. So I just think that we could, I think that we should, maybe revisit this at a later date.
You're talking about an international perennial problem is parking. Also hitting on human nature, being able to get up in time. But just that being said, back of the envelope costs for an asphalt parking lot with 100 spaces. I'm not sure how many spaces there are now. Do we know? Somewhere between $45,000 and $350,000. That's a big range, but that's on site prep, local costs, but
Wow.
$1,500 per space, basically, at the low end. Gravel, not much better, really. It's about, low end for gravel, which is a 10-year lifespan, average is about $90,000. That's low end being the site is easy to, just put a bunch of gravel down and that's that, but I don't know if we would be able to do that here. That being said, it's a lot of money that the district can't really pull off the money tree, if you know what I mean. So. But then again, we're not going to discount your needs.
No, definitely want to, I definitely appreciate the work you put into this, the survey is multiply, and it is a problem, and we need to be reminded that it's a problem, and we need to do what we can about it. It's more the caution I was trying to state is I'd hate to see a 30-year strategic effort to be used for a paved parking spot, but that's just my personal viewpoint.
The land use study shows a majority of that land as parking
On the Washington.
on the
end.
Washington side. But
Yep.
if the city's not going to let us do
They wouldn't let us put a
Gravel,
gravel lot.
yeah.
No, I think if we had a intentional
I'll leave
new
it.
traffic plan, and we had a structure, right? Like, so if we were to build something, of course, there would be parking behind it.
Right.
So no, I'm gonna be clear, we couldn't put a gravel parking lot
Okay.
back there. I'm sure if we had a very intentional plan for a new instructional space that would include parking, that would not be a problem,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But increasing parking also, you'd have to do a major study on traffic
Yeah.
and,
That's what we
Infra-
need, a traffic study to
traffic
improve
study.
the traffic flow,
Right.
for arrival and dismissal. That's a huge issue right now.
That was, I mean, that was part of their work.
That was part of their 2019 work, but
Yeah, they
probably need to update.
they did do a survey on traffic patterns
Yep.
and peak times and all that. I think they even flew drones and stuff to watch. All right. Board reports.
Real quickly, Read Across America is March 7th from 10 to 1 at Lincoln Square. We have over 30 organizations, agencies that will have booths in literacy, hands-on literacy activities, and some community readers and some celebrity greeters. We still have space for a couple more if anyone is available that day. And I hope that the families will come out.
Anyone else? Okay, and there are no administrative reports tonight? Okay. We do have a consent agenda for action items, including 11.1, the minutes for our January 20th business meeting, the January 23rd executive session, and the February 3rd study session. 12.2 are our bills and checks, education fund bills for $1.2 million. Operation maintenance fund bills for $373,000. Bond and interest fund bills for $848. Transportation fund bills for $310,000. Working cash bonds for approximately $40,000. School facility occupancy tax for $13,000. Tort for $82,000. Life safety levy for $4,625. Payroll, salary, and benefits for $4.9 million. And Urbana adult education for $89,000. There is a list of personal items that were published that are needing approval. 11.3, 11.4 is a resolution authorizing or sale of personal property. These are library shelves and student desks from UHS and library books from DPW and Yankee Ridge Multicultural School. Does anybody wish to have any of these specific items removed from the consent agenda? Seeing no hands, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
so moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further questions, comments, discussion? Roll call vote is in order then.
Member Hickson?
Yes.
Member Marabou?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes. Vice President Baxley?
Yes.
President Pulowski?
Yes.
Member Cheryl?
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to our individual action items, starting off with 12.1, our gifts. Juanita Kinoshita donated $1,000 to Urbana High School in memory of her husband, Takio Kinoshita, who taught at UHS. Fisher National Bank donated $500 to Urbana High School wrestling program. Is there a motion to accept the gifts and send out the appropriate thank yous?
So moved.
Second.
Move to second. Any further questions, comments, discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 12.2 is Press Plus 120, which was reviewed at our last meeting and discussed. At that point, is there a motion to approve Press Plus 120?
So moved.
Second.
We have moved and seconded. Any further questions, comment, or discussion on Press Plus 120?
I had sent some questions in and got them answered and had some, you know me, I always have follow-up questions. But I just want to make sure these new policies the wording of these policies will replace the policies, our board policies, correct?
Oh, add to, yeah.
Add to our
A lot
board
of-
policies, okay.
Yeah, because a
And
lot of times the press language isn't replacing the policy itself. It's just updating a footnote or updating a legal reference.
right,
or
right, I understand
updating
that.
Yeah,
But it does become our policy.
yes.
Absolutely.
And I just want to make, my thing is, I want to make sure that we follow through with procedures that make sure we're following the policies, so.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments, or discussion? Roll call vote is in order.
Member Marabou?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes. Vice President Baxley?
Yes.
President Pulowski?
Yes.
Member Cheryl?
Yes.
Member Hickson?
Yes.
Motion passes. There is no call for future special or executive meetings. So at this time, let's have our superintendent's report.
Did
There
you
are
hit
recognitions.
9?
Did I miss something?
9?
I totally missed something. My apologies. Oh, I blew right past that. Thank you for catching that. Totally missed this after board reports. Tim Friedman, a junior at Urbana High School, was named Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, FCCLA Section 7, Public Relations Officer for the upcoming school year. This is a position at the regional level for the larger FCCLA organization. Congratulations to Tim Friedman. And thank you for pointing that out to me. My apologies for missing that. Okay, superintendent's report.
So we have some photos of our girls wrestlers who qualify for state February 27th and 28th next week in Bloomington. Tamaya Terry, Liliana DeSanto, and we already saw some shots of Ricky Ivy, who is a three-time state qualifier. So all three of these wrestlers, and this is what's most amazing, is they didn't start wrestling until they were in high school, which just shows how talented they are and how much progress they've made in the sport of girls wrestling. So congratulations to them, and we wish them the best of luck next week. Winter Guard, our Winter Guard, every year, I saw Christy Kaplan on Friday and wished her and the team well. So they took 5th place in the lyrical flag at the state finals this past weekend. In addition, 8 students were recognized as scholar athletes. There is one more opportunity to see the Winter Guard performance. All of the schools are coming together at Champaign Central on March 5th at 7 o'clock. So we'll get to see their final performance of the season one more time at the end of season showcase. So congratulations to the Winter Guard. Black History Month, as you know, we have several more assemblies to go. We did a lot of celebrating for NAPID, but we also have some upcoming. These are the ones that we know about. There may be others that we're not aware of yet. I know the high school has something planned. We'll have to get that date out as well. But the middle school is having a musical celebration on February 25th. Yankee Ridge is hosting an assembly on the also on the 25th. Dr. Williams Elementary, February 27th, and the 6th grade center also on February 27th. So these are great opportunities to just be visible and show up and just support our students and our staff who work really hard to put together these assemblies and performances. Sherry already mentioned Read Across America. I know I'm signed up, and Paul, you're probably signed up. Not yet. But I know many of us are going to be out there on March 7th, and the first 1,000 children receive a free book and bag. That's still the case, right, Sherry? Awesome. And I look forward to seeing all of the celebrity readers reading books in multiple languages on March 7th at Lincoln Square. Some other important upcoming dates: the high school winter play, TRAP, begins soon, actually this weekend, the 19th and 21st, and then the matinee performance on Sunday, the 22nd. All District Choir Festival is next week on the 26th at UHS. UHS Cool Schools Polar Plunge is also next week. I do think you can still donate. I'll have to check on that. If you're interested, let me know. February 27th during 6th and 7th period. And we're going to just keep announcing until April 8th about kindergarten registration at Lincoln Square on Wednesday, April 8th from 10 to 5. So if you know anybody in our community with a kindergartner turning 5 by September 1st, make sure that they know about kindergarten registration. That is it.
All right, so at this point in time, as published in our agenda, there was a set of process for yes. At this point in time, the chair would entertain a motion to enter closed session for the purpose of,
Wanna read the whole thing,
negotiation.
maybe just-
Well, it's been published. If
Okay.
it's been published, I don't need to read the whole thing.
Okay.
For the purpose of negotiations, which is a blanket exemption in the Open Meetings Act, but also for the purpose of personnel, which is going to be the superintendent evaluation. There will be no action taken after the closed session. But we'll do like a 5-minute recess to reset the room before the executive session starts. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
You said no action.
I said no action after. Yep. Roll call, please.
That's my sheet. I'll just swing it. Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Marabou?
Yes.
President Pulowski?
Yes.
Vice President Baxley?
Yes.
Member Langendorf, yes. Member Hickson?
Yes.
And Member Cheryl.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll do about 5 minutes to reset the room. We'll be needing our mics because one of the lawyer for the district is going to be appearing over Zoom.